Hello and welcome back to another video in the Complete Web Dev series. In this chapter, we are building a content management system using object-oriented programming, and we're organizing it in an MVC structure. Now, in this video, what we're going to attempt to do is finish up the final little touches to finish the registration process. And so we are going to create session messages. That's really hard for me to say. Session messages. All right. So if you are enjoying this series, please comment, like, subscribe. 85% of you guys that are watching are still not subscribe to my channel, so it'd be extremely helpful. If you'd like to get some merch, you can go to my freeskills.life website and you can get hats and shirts and mugs and things like that. Here, I got the hat on. It's a little dirty now, but I also got this Free Skills mug, which is pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, let's jump right in. So I'm gonna go ahead and go over to my screen here, and I'm gonna type git branch to see all my local branches here. And we are on video 24, so I'm gonna create a new branch for this video. So I'm gonna do git checkout -b to create a new branch, and we'll call this v24. All right, now that I've done that, I need to push it to my remote server on GitHub. So I'm going to do git push -- set upstream, and that will be origin space v24. Now that that's set up, we are ready to go. So let's go ahead now and navigate to the auth register. Make sure you have your servers up and running, XAMPP up and running. So right now we've done the form validation, and what I'd like to be able to do is if they fill this out correctly, we want to go ahead and redirect them to another page. And then we're going to want to create some session messages that we can use to pass along a message to the next page. So it might be a little bit of a longer video because we have to create a few of these methods that we haven't done yet. So let's go ahead and take care of the redirect first, I think. So let's go ahead now, and we're going to throw that in the router class. So go ahead and go to router. So far right now we only have one method in our router class, and we're going to create a new one called redirect. So right here before the closing class curly brace and after the last function, let's create a new public static method here. So public static function, and let's call this redirect. And this will take in a location that you want to redirect to. And what I'd like to do here is, there's two different ways that we can do this. We can do this with JavaScript, and I know we haven't learned JavaScript yet, but the problem is we can do it with PHP, but if anything has been output to the screen, or anything's been output at all, then we won't be able to use PHP to do the redirect. So we're going to do a check and use PHP if possible, and then have a backup plan that if there has been something printed to the screen, that we will go ahead and use JavaScript to get the job done. So go ahead and do an if statement here, and what we're going to do is say if not headers sent. So that's a function built into PHP, and that lets us know if the headers have been sent or not, because what we're going to do is manipulate the headers, and we can't manipulate the headers if they've already been sent. So let's just do header, and then inside here go ahead and pass in it's going to be a string, and type location :space, and then what we're going to do here is concatenate on. So go ahead and go outside of that quote and do a period to concatenate on, and we're going to concatenate on the root of our file, and then we'll concatenate on the location, just like that. And then what we'll do is do an exit here to kill the script. So that will redirect if the headers have not already been sent. This is a PHP way of doing it. What we're going to do is else we are going to, So go ahead and do an else statement here. We're going to go ahead and echo, and what we're going to echo here is a script tag. Now this is JavaScript here. Don't worry too much about this because you don't really, I haven't taught you JavaScript yet, but it's not too different from PHP syntax. So we're going to open a script tag, which is, this is an actual HTML tag that's going to let the HTML page know that there's JavaScript in here. So I'm going to go and skip down a few lines here, and we're going to close that script tag just like this. And then our JavaScript is going to go in between there. So then we're going to do echo. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to use a JavaScript function called window.location.href. And we're going to say equals, and then we're going to do a double quote. And inside the double quote here, go ahead and break out of here by putting in some single quotes. And then we are going to type in a period and another period, and in here we're going to do our root, and then we'll do location just like that, and then we need another period. So this will concatenate on the root of our website, then the location, and then we're going to concatenate on our last double quote there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to check if there is no JavaScript enabled, which probably shouldn't happen, but some people, for security reasons, turn off JavaScript. So we'll just use a no script tag, which is JavaScript's way of handling this, or actually it's not JavaScript, it's HTML. So we're going to do one more thing here, and we'll do a no script closing tag here. And then inside of here, we're going to echo out a meta tag. So we'll do this with HTML if they don't have JavaScript turned on. So we'll do meta HTTP equiv equals, and then in double quotes here type refresh, and then we'll do content equals 0 semicolon URL is equal to, and then outside of that quote we're just going to concatenate on our root and then our location here, and then we'll concatenate on the closing double quote and the close of the tag there, just like that. So this is 3 different ways to do the redirect. So we can use the PHP way if headers aren't set, which is just sending a new header to change the location. Else we're going to do a JavaScript variation here. So inside the JavaScript tags, we're doing the window.location href, and we're going to pass it in there. If they don't have JavaScript enabled, we're going to use the no script tag here, and we're just going to add a meta tag into the HTML that will refresh the page. After that, what we're going to do is exit, and actually we can clean this up a little bit by just removing the exit here, and after this else statement here we can just exit just like that. Alright, I'm going to save that, and that will be it for this redirect method. Let me check how long that took. Not too bad so far. So in order to use this now, we're going to go back to the auth controller. And what we're going to do is right here, this user save function, this save function returns a Boolean. And so what we can actually do, and this is pretty neat, we can actually put an if statement here, and I'm going to cut that and put it in this if statement here. So this if statement will actually run this, and it will return either true or false. Now if it's true, that means it's saved, and what we want to do here is redirect. So now we can just use our router here, and then we can use our redirect method that we just created, and we want to go ahead and redirect to our portal /users. Now we don't have that set up yet, but we will. But this, let's go ahead and test this out now. So I save that, and let's go ahead and register a new user. So I'm just going to put in Tony Parham Tony at Mailinator, and for the role she's going to be an author, and then I'm going to put in a password. I'm just going to make the password and hit save. And now you can see, if you look in the URL up here, that the redirect worked. But we have an error message because we haven't actually set up this controller yet, which is exactly what we want. However, this is working, so that is good news. Just go ahead and hit back here to go back to your form, and I'm just gonna hit enter here to clear that out. And by the way, we can go now and look in the database by going to localhost phpMyAdmin. Click on your CMS database and go to users, and here's Tony that I just inserted. Also, I'm missing the password on mine, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete my user, and I'm gonna add my user back here. And I'm gonna make myself an admin. You don't have to do this, by the way. This is just a little housekeeping for me since I messed up my user before. Okay, so now this is working. So let's go and for now, let's see. It's going to be a while before we get this portal set up. So let's go ahead and change this just for the time being to, let's see, what's in our blog controller? Let's send this to our blog index action, and for now let's comment out this, and in fact let's go ahead and remove all of these comment out lines. So all we need here for now in this index action is just our view set site title in the render here. I'm gonna hit save, and what we're gonna do is in our auth controller for now, let's just redirect this to blog index like that. That way we can work on our next part of this, which will be displaying a session message. So let's go ahead and work on that. So go ahead and let's see, go down and open up inside the core folder here, open up the session class. And in the session class, we're actually going to create two new methods here. One of them is going to be for setting the message, and then the other one is going to be for displaying those messages. All right, so let's work on the setting of the message first. And so let's just go to Bootstrap. So I'm going to go to getbootstrap.com. And then go to the docs, and we are using version 4.6 here. And in version 4.6, go ahead and go down to components, and let's look for, I want to, not toasts, let's see, where is the alerts? There we go. We're going to use these alerts right here, and I want to use the alerts that are dismissible with this X right here. And so here is going to be our alert, and so we will be copying this alert right here in a moment. So go ahead and have this open, and we're going to grab this stuff here. And so then go ahead and let's go ahead and start that. So we're going to do a public static function here, and this is going to be, we're just going to call it MSG, short for message. And this is going to take two parameters. The first parameter is going to be message, which is going to be required. The second one is going to be type, and we're going to set a default type on that, and the type is going to be danger. And then we'll open and close our curly brackets here. And then what we're going to do is let's create just a comment above here to give us some information. We're going to say type can be primary, secondary, success, danger, warning, info, light, and dark. Now I didn't just make this up off the top of my head. These are the ones that are available here, and if you look here you can see all the different variations of that. And so if you look down here, we have the primary, secondary, success, danger. Now these are all the same with the exception of this class name. We have primary, secondary, so we're going to just be updating this part of the class name with PHP so that we can use any of these different alerts that we want to use. So let's go back to our code now, and inside here what we're going to do is we're going to get any sort of alerts that are already set up. Now we're going to be setting these in the session so that when they refresh the page they will still be available. And so we can say alerts is equal to, and we're going to say self get, so we're going to use our get function here, and then we're going to use session alerts as a key. Okay, and we're going to use a ternary here, and we're going to say if that exists, and in fact let's use the exist function here like this. So we'll change that and we'll say self get session alerts, else what we want to do here is just return an empty array. Alright, so then what we're going to do is we are going to add the message that gets put in here because we want to be able to have multiple messages. That's why we're making this an array. So we can say alerts, and then what we're going to do is pass our type in as a key, and then we're going to add a new element to that array, and we're going to just say equals message. And so it's going to take whatever string that we pass in here and add it to an array here like this. And then we're going to say self set. Okay, self set, and then what we do is session alerts, and then we're going, as a second parameter, we're going to pass in the alerts like that. So we're just going to, you can set an array into a session as well as a string. So most of the time we've been setting in strings, and so now we're going to actually put an array into our session, and this array will be as many of these alerts as we want to have. So now we have a way to set these session alerts. So let's now create a way to display the ones that have already been set. So we're going to create a new public static function here, and this will be called display session alerts. Okay, and this won't take any parameters. And so what we're going to do here is we need to get the alerts. So we're going to say alerts is equal to self get session alerts, and then what we're going to do is you know what, let's do the same thing as we did before. We're going to do self exists set session alerts, and we'll make this a ternary operator, and we'll do self get session alerts, and if it doesn't exist, just add an array there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop through this array. So we're going to say for each alerts, and we're going to say as type messages. Okay, because each type can have multiple messages. We can have multiple successes or multiple dangers or a mixture of any of these. So we're actually going to do something we don't normally want to do inside of programming, is we're going to do a loop within a loop. Now this can grow exponentially and slow down the application, but in our case we're going to be having such a small amount of these in the array that it won't ever make a difference. And so we're going to do another for each in here. We're going to say for each messages as message like this. And then above this for each, actually, let's go ahead and create an HTML string that we're going to use here. And so then what we're going to do is go ahead and in this for each here, we are going to say HTML and we're going to concatenate equals to add to this in each iteration of the loop. We're going to add this div. And so what we can do is go ahead and go to this dismissible one right here. Okay, so in here what we're going to do is add a div, and this is going to have a class equal to, and I'm going to use single quotes here just because we're inside double quotes. So this is going to be a class called alert, and it's going to have an alert dismissible like this, and then it'll have alert dash, and then right here is where we're going to put our type. So we can use a string literal here, so do the curly brackets, and we're going to put in our type. And then what we're going to do is outside of that single quote, go ahead and close the div, and then we'll do another variable here, and this will be message. And then we're going to go ahead and add the close button. So this will be a button here, and a type will be button. Class, let me scroll over a little bit. Class is going to be equal, and again we're using single quotes here. It's going to be equal to close, and then we're going to put a data dismiss equals single quotes, and in there it's going to be alert, and then we're going to do aria label, and that will just be a single quote with the word close. That's for screen readers. And then let's see, after that close there, we're going to go ahead and close that opening button tag, and then we are going to add we're going to add an X here basically. So we're going to put in a span, and then we're going to say aria dash hidden equals true. So that'll hide it for screen readers, and then put in an ampersand times semicolon, and that will create the X for the block here. And then we're going to do a closing span tag, and then a closing button tag, and then we are just going to do the closing div tag as well. I think that's it. So it's kind of a long line there. You could break that down on multiple lines if you'd want, but I think I'm going to leave mine just like this. So make sure yours looks exactly like this, unless I have an error here, and we'll find out momentarily. Then what we're going to do is, after this whole double for each thing, we are just going to return the HTML. So if there are no alerts, this HTML is just going to be an empty string, so it's not going to be a problem. All right, so then what we're going to do is we're going to add this to our default layout so that it shows up above our content. So if you go in your application, look in views, layouts, and then click on default.php. What we're going to do here is, inside of our container here, we are going to up here in our use statement in our PHP, let's go ahead and group this like this, and we're going to add another, we need to use our session class, so we're going to use our core session here. And then down here right above our content, what we want to be able to do is just echo out the session, and then we're going to call our display session alerts, and so this will actually echo out the contents of that HTML we just built. So whatever this returns right here after this for each loop, it will echo that out right here above our content. So let's test this out now. Let's go to our auth controller. So back in our auth controller, what we're going to want to do is inside here, inside the save method, we're going to do something here, and we're going to say message is equal to, and we're going to say ID, if ID is equal to new. Did we set that yet? Yes, we did. So ID, if that's equal to new, then we're going to set the message equal to user created, like that. Else, we're going to set that equal to user updated. Okay. And then what we're going to do is let's make sure we use, our sessions here. So then what we're going to do is, after we get this message set up here, we're going to just use our session message right here. And we're going to pass in our message, which will be either user created or user updated. And then we don't want this to be an error message. We want this to be a success message. So let's go ahead and do that. And so we save that now, and let's go ahead and go back to our register page, and let's just register a new user here. Okay, and I'm gonna make Jules an admin. We'll confirm the password here, and we'll hit save. And now it redirects us to here. However, we have a problem here where it's saying, hey, the for each argument must be the type of an array or an object, and a Boolean is given, so we have a syntax error somewhere. So let's go back to our session. It's complaining right here that our alerts is, let's see, session, oops. And that is because I have a error right here in this message. All right, so what I'm going to do now, that should work now. I had a spelling error right there. So what I'm going to do is let's refresh this. We still have a problem here. So alerts, this should be an array, and session alert shouldn't be set. Let's go ahead and right here, let's go ahead and do our h dump and die and see what alerts is. And then I'm probably going to need to add that right here. So inside this core, let's just create this as a group and add that like that. And then let's refresh and see what we got here. So we're getting false returned, which is why this is a problem. So let's figure that out. I don't think this should be false. So if exists, session alerts, if it exists. So let's find out. Let's do this. Let's self. See, you're getting to see a little bit of debugging now. If self exists, session alerts. We'll save that. So that is true. So let's go now and let's just dump and die our sessions. $_session. Okay, yeah. So we do have an empty array here. Huh. Let me check my reference material here. I know I had this working on my thing, so let me see what I did different. I did have an if statement. For some reason, this right here is returning let's do one thing. Let's fix one thing at a time here. Let's go back and let's go to our auth register page. And of course that's showing up here. For now, comment out. I'm going to comment out this out. All right, so we have this here now, and then I'm going to uncomment this. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. And I'm going to get rid of that user I just added, and I'm going to add that user again. Getting hot in my office. Something's wrong here. This session alerts is not being set. Something is wrong with our message here. Yep, I got a stupid typo right here. Dang it. Stupid typos. Alright, let's try again. Go back here and let me just comment out this dump and die. You guys probably saw that error. Get rid of that user again and test it again. Okay. So now I'm going to uncomment that. Okay, so now we have session alerts. We have one array in here that's success, and inside there we have an array that says user created. So now I should be able to get rid of this dump and die right here, and we will uncomment this for each and refresh. Okay, great. Now we have this success message pop up here that says user created, and I should be able to click on this and dismiss it. But if I refresh, you're going to see that it comes back every time I refresh, and that is because it is stored in our session. So what we actually want to do is, after these are displayed, we want to delete them all. So now in our display session alerts, all we have to do right before our return here is we'll say self delete, and we're going to delete the session alerts. So now it'll only do this one time. So now you see if I refresh, it's here, but if I refresh again, it's gone. Okay, so that's what we want. We only want it to show up one time. So let's go ahead and test this out again and make sure I have everything the way that I want it. So I'm going to go to auth register again, and let's add Benjamin Farham Ben at mailinator.com. Tom. We'll make him an author. Do our password. Hit save. It redirects us to our home page and adds this user created. And if I can dismiss this, and if I refresh or go anywhere else, there's message isn't there. So that's exactly what we wanted. So our session messages are working correctly and the way that we want them. So now we can use those anywhere we want in our application to add error messages or success messages or whatever else. Now there's a couple more things to clean up and we'll be completely done with this registration process. So I want to go ahead and take care of that as we right now. So let's see. We're going to do some permission stuff later. Let's go ahead and I'd like to, right here above this if save thing, we're going to add another if statement here. And we're going to say if ID does not equal new and not empty user password, then what we're going to do is we're going to do something called user reset password is equal to true. And the reason we're doing this, and let's just go now to the users.php model. So if you go to app models users.php, that's where we're at now. And we're going to add a new check here. So for right now, we only did the password stuff if the user was new, but we want the people to be able to update their password as well. So we're going to say, or this reset password is equal to true. And let's make sure I have that set up here. I do not. But that's okay. That should still work. Let's see. I think what we'll do here is we're going to do an else statement, and we're going to say else this skip update is going to be equal to an array called password, like that, and we'll save that. What that's going to do is stop the assign function, and let's just double check that. I'm going to look at my reference here. Give me one moment, please. Yeah, so let's go to our model class here in the core, and we're going to check the get values for save. And right here, this skip update, so if it's not in the array skip update, it sets that value here. So what's going to end up happening is, let me just close that. We don't need that anymore. What's going to happen is if this isn't set here and it's a user, so there's going to be two ways for us to get into here. One is if it's a new user, we're always going to set the password, and we're going to do validation for the password. But we want to be able to update the user, but the user themselves, if they don't enter anything into the password field, we don't want to do this. And so it'll skip this, and then we're going to say skip update password. So it'll actually not update the password when they update. But if they do send a new password in, so say they want to update their password, then they can just, it'll set this reset password because we set that up in the auth controller right here. We set that to true. And so now it's going to use that password to update that. So let's go ahead and double check that that works. Now I'm going to save this. And let's go to localhost, and I'm just going to get the ID of my user. So my user is user 7 in my database here. So I'm going to test that. So let's go back here now and let's go to auth register, and I'm going to do /7 and hit enter. And now it will add my information in here. I'm going to change myself to an author and hit save. Okay, so that worked, and then now it says user updated. So let's do that again. Let's go back here, and now I'm an author, but I'm going to go ahead and change my, I'm going to change it back to admin, and I'm going to change my password to a new password and hit save. It says that it updated. Let's double check this. Okay, that's good. That's still there. Let's go back now, and I'm going to change my password back to what it was before. We'll go here, and when I click browse, we should see my user password change there. And it did. Okay, so that's working exactly as I intended it to work. The other thing that I'd like to be able to do is auth register. Right now this header just says register, and I'd like that to be a little bit better of a description. So if it's 7, I don't want it to say register. That doesn't even make sense. So like I'm editing this user. So I'd like to say add new user or edit user. So what we can do here, this is super simple, and this is going to be kind of the power. You're going to start seeing the power of doing coding this way, because I can say this view header is going to be equal to, and we're going to use a ternary operator. So we're going to say if ID is equal to new, then we want the header to be create or add user, else we want it to be edit user. Okay, so that will add it to our view. So now if we go to our app, views, auth, register.php, right here in that h2 tag where it says register, we can just get rid of that. And now what we can do is just echo out. We'll do our PHP echo tag, and we can say echo this header, and then we'll close that. And now if I go back and refresh, now it says edit user. But if I change this 7 to new, it says add user. So this is the ID, this new right here, this parameter we can leave it blank if we want. And the reason we can leave it blank is go back to auth controller, the register action right here, we set a default to new. So that will be new by default. Or if we put in a user ID, oops, wrong way. If we put in a user ID, either new is new, or if we put any other user ID, we can do 7, and you can see that it's Curtis. Or I can put in 6, and it's Tony. Or I can put in 8, and I don't have one, so we need to handle that at some point. So I have 10 and 11, so let me try that. 10, that's Jules, and of course 11 is Benjamin. And when you're editing a user, it says edit user. Okay, so let me just double check now, make sure we're not missing anything else that I want to do on this register thing. We're going to do some permission stuff later, but for now, I think we're going to go ahead and stick with this. So yeah, this register action now, this right here is the controller action that will handle all of the logic for registering a file. So if they didn't didn't post anything the first time this loads, if it's new, it creates a new user object. Else it finds the user by ID. Now what we could do is, if the user doesn't exist after this, we can actually do a redirect. So let's go ahead and do that just to fix this. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say if not user, then we're going to use our session message, and we're going to say you do not have permission to edit this user, and I'm going to do a comma, and then well, you know what, we'll make that just an error message, and then we're going to do a router redirect, and we're going to redirect them to the blog /index, hit save, and now if we go to one of these that doesn't exist, like 8, then it redirects us to the home page and it says you do not have permission to edit this user. However, if we go to the auth register 7 that does exist, then we're good to go. So again, we could type in an ID that doesn't exist in our database and it tells us that you do not have permission to edit this user. You can put a different message in there if you'd like, but I feel pretty good about that for now. So we are actually done with our registration form. So in the next video, we're going to continue on the process of building out our application, and now we have a lot of the hard work done, and it's going to be just creating controllers, models, and views for all the different screens for our website. So I hope that helps. I hope you understand where we're at. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Also, do your best to answer each other's questions in the comments below. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video. Peace out. Please comment, like, subscribe.